Oh yeah, good old Vanguard. Love that Powerup music. You know, when I reviewed this game for the Atari 2600, I completely missed the fact that's music from the 1980 movie Flash Gordon. I always just associated it with Vanguard, because I played this on Atari 2600 all the time as a kid. I love this game. Why bother shooting enemies when you can crash right through them? Vanguard is right up there with Scramble as one of the earliest spaceship shooters, and is an incredibly fun, playable, and challenging game today on the Atari 2600. And I imagine the arcade machine, which I've never seen, but I would really like to. The Atari 5200 version of Vanguard, while visibly superior to the Atari 2600 version, is yet another excellent game on the Atari 5200 that suffers because of the horrible Atari 5200 controller. So we're all going to watch an absolute train wreck of gameplay for this review, because I can't control the ship at all. So while normally I would play through the game to at least get some half-decent gameplay, I just don't care, because I would much rather play Vanguard on the Atari 2600. Alright, Unlimited continues. Well, that's nice. That'll help for the review. That way I can keep playing until I eventually just want to stop. Even though I'm playing this game with my newly refurbished Atari 5200 controller with a fire button that works, it doesn't do me much good because I can't control the direction of the ship and the direction of firing with any kind of real arcade precision because of the squishy analog joystick on the Atari 5200 controller. When playing this on the 2600, you have precise control. It's either on or off. There's no analog movement that you have to push through, so you can play Vanguard with the Sega Genesis controller, the Atari 7800 gamepad, numerous aftermarket controllers, or even just the standard Atari 2600 controller, and get decent, responsive control. And even though the Atari 5200 version of Vanguard looks far superior to the Atari 2600, it's a very nice looking game here. There's a lot more color and detail. Vanguard is one of those games like Centipede that it doesn't really matter how the game looks as long as it plays well. Which is why the far more rudimentary Vanguard on Atari 2600 is my preferred version of Vanguard, because I can use a better controller. For those of you who grew up with the 5200 or are just masters of playing with the 5200 controller, this probably is not an issue, and Vanguard would be the preferred version of Vanguard to play. Vanguard on the Atari 5200, that is, unless you happen to have access to an authentic Vanguard arcade machine. In which case, I secretly hate you. I guess it's not much of a secret. No, it's called envy. Because I would love to play this game in the arcades. I've never seen it. I've seen that fire truck game from Atari, but not Vanguard. That's not fair. And you guys know what I'm talking about? The two-player fire truck game? I used to play that with my dad. That was a cool game. If you've never played Vanguard, many of you younger viewers probably haven't. If you like the modern shooters, games like the Thunder Force games, Gradius, Darius, R-Type, you gotta check out some of the really early ones, like Vanguard and Scramble. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention in the beginning of the review, does anybody else recognize the TV show that music is used in? How many of you know what season they started putting collars on the uniforms? I'm such a dork. I like the variety of levels in Vanguard, and I like that you attack cocktail shrimp in space. I've been suspicious of cocktail shrimp for years. Now I know why, because they're attacking your spaceship. Fortunately, you can shoot in 4 different directions. Maybe someday I will find an Atari 5200 controller that works for me, one that has tight responsive controls. There may be an aftermarket controller out there that does the job, in which case games like Vanguard and Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man on the Atari 5200 will suddenly become playable. Until that time, while I love Vanguard. It's a terrific game. I will stick with the Atari 2600 game cartridge.